You ever have a series that's mere concept alone sells you on it? Like, it just sounds so absurd that you have to try it? Well, that was basically my experience with Super Monkey Ball. I mean, you're taking monkeys, placing them in balls, and launching them at Mach 5, who wouldn't like this? As one of the few remaining franchises that Sega actually acknowledges nowadays, the Monkey Ball series has gone through tons of ups and downs. However, it has been going through a bit of a resurgence in recent years, and the newest entry, Banana Rumble, has been receiving tons of praise and is considered to be the true Monkey Ball 3 that fans have been waiting for. But that made me curious. I mean, for a franchise that's been around for over 20 years at this point, how come no other entry into now has captured what fans love about the first two games? Why have those two specifically stood the test of time while all of the rest have fallen into obscurity? Well, that's what I'm here to find out. And to do so, we have to start from the very beginning. They unsupered my Monkey Ball. Often forgotten, the Super Monkey Ball series started off as simply Monkey Ball, released for the arcades in 2001 and created by Amusement Vision. The concept is simple. You get your monkey of choice from point A to point B, those consisting of I, Mimi, and Baby, under the allotted time by using the analog stick to tilt the stage and guide them towards the goal. The game is really simple and intuitive, and that's by design, as the real challenge comes from the level design and how it requires taking advantage of the physics and momentum to make it through the harder stages. There's 3 difficulties to choose from, beginner, advanced, and expert, and they all offer a different amount of stages, with bananas scattered about that you can collect for extra lives. It was a simple, fun, and unique concept that sucked up Yen and convinced the devs to work on a console port. However, since the Dreamcast was essentially on its deathbed by this point, Sega had to turn elsewhere.
Nintendo GameCube.
Oh hell yeah, we're getting to the good stuff now. Super Monkey Ball released on the GameCube in 2001 as the launch title, and was also the first Sega game to be released on a Nintendo system, which was kind of a big deal considering their rivalry during the 90s. Even though this arcade game is technically the first, Super Monkey Ball might as well be where the series got its proper start. At its core, it's essentially an enhanced port of that arcade game. You have your monkeys, the checkerboard florist, the bananas sponsored by Dole, which they will take every opportunity to remind you that they're sponsored by Dole. But that just scratches the surface about how much this version adds and improves. The main gameplay is essentially identical, however it just feels way better to play in this since you don't have to deal with whatever the hell that banana joystick was supposed to be. Not to mention, since the GameCube controllers have notches on their sticks, it allows for way more precise movement, which is basically necessary for some of the harder levels in the game, which makes me really wonder why the hell they designed them around this thing, especially considering that you have to beat an entire difficulty with 1 life in order to reach the extra stages, and in order to unlock the master levels, you need to not only reach the extra levels in expert, which again requires you doing all 50 of those stages with 1 life, but also requires you to beat all the extra levels without using a continue. Yeah, no thank you, I actually value my sanity. Granted, I guess that's what the secret goals are for. These are scattered around specific stages and are basically harder exits to reach. However, they reward you by allowing you to skip a certain amount of stages within a given difficulty. So you do want to go for them because they allow you to reach the end faster and give you a better shot at reaching the extra stages. Then again, you're most likely going to lose a life trying to reach these in the first place, but you can always use the new practice mode to get familiar with what each stage has to offer, assuming you've already reached it. Point is, this game's arcade difficulty is definitely more apparent when you're playing it on a console. Really, the biggest and most apparent difference between the two versions is definitely the presentation. Visually, this game just looks way more polished and appealing. Like, the arcade version had this weird cutter palette and generic skybox as a background for most of the levels. Meanwhile, Super Monkey Ball has unique backdrops and stage themes all throughout that look way more interesting and natural. It kinda makes the arcade one look like a beta in comparison. All of the menus and UI have been completely redesigned and look much better in my opinion. And on top of that, the soundtrack is completely different and is also a huge improvement. And I know, music is subjective, but all of the arcade music to me is just really forgettable and repetitive, while Super Monkey Ball just has straight bangers throughout. All of this, however, is only covering the main game content because Super Monkey Ball has an entire selection of side game content to sink your teeth into, in the form of the party games. You have 3 to start, including Monkey Race, a pretty simple Mario Kart-like mode where you race others and use items to gain an advantage. Monkey Fight, where you punch the crap out of your opponents with a giant boxing glove and you can upgrade it to be more effective. And Monkey Target, where you roll down a ramp at ridiculous speeds, and then try to land on the score platforms without falling off into the water. There's also 3 unlockable side games, Monkey Bowling, Golf, and Billiards, which are more standard side games, but still fun nonetheless. These ones you do need to unlock with play points, which you can just earn by playing the game normally. My favorite has to be Billiards. I mean, what can I say? I'm just easy to please. All these modes are fairly enjoyable, and you can even play them with up to 4 people. Hell, that's the entire reason why my glorious King Gon was created. Overall, Super Monkey Ball just acts as a complete replacement for the arcade game in every way. and it's just a damn good game in its own right. It retains the easy to learn yet challenging to master gameplay and solid level design, except for Expert, which can just go fuck itself. Its simple aesthetic still looks fairly good even now, especially for a launch title. There's tons of side content, and with most good games that sell well, a sequel is bound to be made. This game is so peak, man. Super Monkey Ball 2 was released in the following year and is considered the best in the series by many. As a sequel, it improves upon all of the aspects that made Super Monkey Ball fun while offering more of it to enjoy. It doesn't try to reinvent the wheel or anything, but that's fine since Monkey Ball already had a rewarding gameplay loop, and as other games in the series have shown, that's probably for the best. One of the things many people will first notice is the new story mode. Here you go through all the stages in the game separated into 10 worlds with 10 stages each. The actual plot of it is pretty ridiculous. Basically, this mad scientist, Dr. Bad Boon, steals all the bananas on Jungle Island and is planning on shooting this no more banana taste beam to make all the bananas in the world taste like curry. I wish I made that up. He also has this weird crush on Mimi, so there's that. I and the others chase him to get all the bananas back, which leads into dealing with bombs inside a volcano, getting eaten by whales, being shrunk and thrown into a boiling pot, robotic clones. Literally none of this makes sense. Not to mention these weird ass dance sequences. You can tackle the stages in a world in whatever order you want, and it also offers infinite lives. It allows you to easily retry and actually experience each stage, and because there's no risk of losing progress, it offers you the freedom to approach levels in basically any way you want. Thankfully, since Super Monkey Ball 2 was designed specifically for consoles, the level design feels a lot more fair than the first, although it definitely has some that will drive you up a wall. A lot of them use new mechanics like switches or these gates that warp you to different parts of the stage, and they overall just feel more creative and unique than what the first game had to offer. And hey, if having infinite lives ruins the difficulty for you, there's always the challenge mode that gives you that limited life experience just like the first game. It's also the only way to play as the other characters in the main game because for some reason story mode forces you to play as Ai even though all the other characters are present, but it's not really a big deal. Unlike the first game, you only need to reach the end of a difficulty without using the continue to reach the extra stages, and you can actually buy lives using play points, which encourages you to play more of the game. Or you can always use them to purchase more party games, which have doubled in quantity. You have remade versions of all the party games in the first game, while offering an additional 6 on top of that. Thankfully, the game still focuses on making these side modes fun instead of just having a ridiculous amount of them and having something to put on the back of the box. They all have pretty good music as well. In fact, the soundtrack in general just slaps, even harder than the first game. This game also has widescreen, strangely enough. No real point in mentioning it, I just thought it was neat. Super Monkey Ball 2 is a perfect sequel, and something I highly recommend trying out. Both of these games are just really fun, full of charm, and despite being challenging, are really rewarding to overcome. Which from what I hear, none of the later games really seem to understand that appeal of Monkey Ball's design, with the exception of Banana Rumble. I mean, hey, Nintendo's finally re-releasing GameCube games, so maybe there might be a chance. Although if you do want to try these for yourselves, you're better off buying Banana Mania nowadays. To keep things short, Banana Mania is a remake of the first two games as well as including all the original content from Monkey Ball Deluxe, which is Sega's weird roundabout way of porting the content from those two games to the PS2 and Xbox. The visuals have been enhanced, the controls do feel a bit different, which I know not a lot of people like, but they felt fine to me. You have infinite lives now, meaning you actually have a shot at beating most of the levels from Monkey Ball 1. Seriously, fuck you, expert mode. And the characters all use their modern redesigns, which look alright, but you can purchase the original designs with DLC if you want. In fact, this game has a bunch of random DLC. Like buying the original soundtrack, which, okay, seriously, can we stop making this DLC? Just put it in the game. I mean, it's much better than what it was replaced with, just saying. There's Hello Kitty, Morgana, okay, a lot of cats I'm seeing. And also, there's just straight up a Dreamcast. They're also $5 each, so it's probably not worth it. But hey, if it means you can drip out Gongon like this, hoo boy. There's tons of extras you can buy in game as well, like a jump that can just break the game in half if you know how to use it right. You can toggle the original versions of stages, since some of them got redesigned for this remake. A reverse mode where the start and end goals are swapped. You still have all the party games from Monkey Ball 2, although Monkey Target was unfortunately pretty neutered. But still, Banana Mania is a pretty good and accessible way of experiencing the first two games in the modern age, although I do think there is still novelty in playing the originals. If anything, just to see those cutscenes in 2, they are truly a sight to behold. But that's gonna be it for me. If you made it through the end, liking and subscribing is always appreciated, but of course you do whatever you want. Either way, I thank you for watching, take care, and until next time.